Right.
See what I'm saying?
A lot of times it's, for me personally, I don't find it necessarily a need to control, but just to remove it so much. Like a lot of times I'll go through and I'll have those emotions and I'll have those justifications for why I didn't do this. But I take that outside perspective and say, okay, fact is I chose not to do this, and this is why I chose. But that actually has no reign over my choice. I still could have chosen to do something else and come up with an entirely different set of reasons for why I chose to do that other thing. And then those become my reasons why. Those become my justifications. So you can literally justify anything, but you just have to, everyone always thinks that the justifications come so the result is the choice.
Right.
The choice comes first, and then you justify it because everyone's always looking for proof. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Everyone's always looking for proof. They're asking the question why. And the way we prove why is through our justifications. So when we make a choice, we automatically build those justifications around it in expectance of people saying, why did you do this? And then so in that mechanic, in our mind, these become the reasons why we do it, and that's where we get kind of like caught up. And these are the reasons why I do this. So anytime that I see this similar scenario come up, I'm gonna always choose this choice because that's who I am.
Yeah.
But you can choose to be somebody else. Like take someone who's shy, for example. I'm shy because I'm uncomfortable because of this, and I'm uncomfortable because of that, I'm uncomfortable because of this. So anytime they get put in a situation where they feel uncomfortable because of those factors they've come up with, they choose to be shy. Because a lot of times when people are shy, you get them on one-on-one or in a different scenario, they're not shy at all.
Right.
And that's how you know it's a choice.
Right.
It's a choice they're choosing, but it's a choice that they've made a couple times, and they've built these little justifications around it. So when they see that similar justifications come up, that's how they act. Right. Instead of saying, I know normally I can be shy, I choose to be shy, but I'm not going to choose to be shy, I'm going to choose to be outgoing. And then that's the mindset change.
So do you see what you're saying? So what you're saying here is, this is the difficult part, because if I haven't been working on this like we have been on just trying to be better people and better humans, I wouldn't be able to see what I'm about to say. Because my emotions would be in the way.
Right.
So you were saying a lot of what people do is based on the past.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So that's the tug of war. You can't get here if you're thinking here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You may be here and you want to get there, but if you're thinking here, it's impossible to get there regardless.
Right.
And that's where the justification comes in. Because it's like, well, yes, I'm here, and well, yeah, I want to be there, but this happened here, so I'm going to dictate now on what happened then. Which, here's what people aren't getting, right? Is that if you're here and you want to get there, but your thinking is behind you, you're thinking in the past, and I'm saying, yeah, but you can't get to where you want to go to if you're thinking backwards, you're thinking in the past. So in order for people to get forward, it's okay to acknowledge the past, though.
Yeah, it's okay to acknowledge it and keep that in the back of your mind for your future plans. You just can't base your entire thinking off of the past.
Right. So you've heard that saying, what you've done can't get you to where you want to go, right? Or that saying like, whatever you've done in the past isn't going to get you where you want to go in the future, right?
Sure.
So we'll say that, right? But the funny thing is this is the whole point I'm getting to in this. What I'm saying is that the emotion gets in the way with justification when we choose certain instances to use it. I'm saying that we need to be able to step back all the time and say, okay, this situation is what it is, and analyze the situation without emotion. But a lot of times people will choose it, right? So here's an example. Like, say for instance, I may feel a point is valid, logically, scientifically, whatever you want to say. I may feel a point is valid just based on the facts. Right? And you may come to that same conclusion and say, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense based on the facts. Well, say we have another situation comes up, right? And we're not trying to improve like we are. And then you're like, hey, here's the facts, Joe, knowing that I was factual before, right? And then I'm like, well, no, because this happened before, or this has happened to me before, or whatever my emotion brings up to say that's not a fact, to say, no, that's not it. So now I'm choosing when I want to exercise that higher archetype of a person instead of just doing it all the time. And a lot of people do that because a lot of people will use that as justification too. And they'll say, well, yeah, I always want to be a better person because I this, and that.
Right.
right? But then when it comes to that one thing, they're saying, well, I always want to be a better person, so this justifies me being emotional at this point and not being that better person and not using the same train of thinking.
Well, I think the justification for that would be, well, I'm not there yet. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
That's the justification, instead of being like, oh, okay, you're right. Well, let me see it from your perspective.
Because we're acknowledging you're not perfect, but we're taking a different road.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We're not saying it's never an attack.
Yeah.
It's never an attack. It's an acknowledgement. Like, yeah, we know you're not perfect. We don't expect you to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. It's always a work in progress.
Right.
And here is a place where I see that you can improve. And I'm telling you that so that you can improve on that. You know, anytime I'm trying to improve on myself, or especially like in relationships. So let's say that, you know, you and I have some conflict where you're like, dude, I hate when you do this. A lot of times I don't realize I'm even doing that. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that. Can you tell me, point that out to me when I do this? Because I don't realize when I'm doing it to you, and you're getting upset about it, but because you don't voice it, I don't know when to stop. And so if you keep reminding me about it, I can become more conscious of myself doing that so that I can curb it.
But the only way that
Change.
that solution works, because you're so right, that's perfect, but the only way that solution works is if I can say, I hate that you do this,
Yeah.
and not say that I don't like you, the person.
Yes.
Right? And just say, and I can just be mad at that though, and not hold on to it. That's another thing too, right? Because people will say that maybe they don't like something emotionally, because every time someone disagrees, every time someone gets upset, I don't care what anybody says, okay?
Mm-hmm.
From the beginning of time, there's nothing new under the sun. That's what the old saying goes, right?
Right.
It's an emotion every single time. You know what I mean? Every time there's a disagreement, it's because there's an emotion. Because you know what I mean? They're not agreeing. Because people can see the same fact and still maybe not agree on the viewpoint of it.
Right.
But it's still the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. But because everyone sees it from their own perspective,
Right.
it's different.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it is.
Right.
Well, what do you mean? Like let's say this morning when you were talking about how your coworkers were defending themselves, saying, well, no, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like from my perspective, that was them reacting to well, you guys aren't doing this, and that's why. And them saying like, no, we are. And you took it from the perspective as they're saying, well, no, I should be the person to contact that person because I visited them before, instead of, so it's two different perspectives.
Right.
Same fact. The fact is that was what said. It was said by them. But from my perspective, that's that. And from your perspective, it was something else. We don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
But that's just the perspective change.
And see, we could accept that, right? I can say, that's what you think, that's what I think. Wow, that's an interesting point. Maybe I didn't think of it that way. Maybe I even said that. I was like, well, I didn't think of it that way.
Right.
But that's the rub, right? Because people don't get to that next
They never
step.
get to that point where they a lot of times they'll acknowledge it, and they okay, I see what you're saying, but I'm actually right, and this is why, and blah blah blah, and they get all emotional about it.
Yeah.
And then whenever you get emotional towards someone, they throw up a little emotional wall.
Yeah.
And then you guys are both like, I always imagine like it's like a big like castle wall, like two castles up here, and like okay, everything's fine. And all of a sudden you have these huge walls, and you're yelling over at each other, like, no, that's not right, and like throwing catapult, like this huge battle going on.
Well, it reminds me of like, remember that when was it Peter on Family Guy? I think he built himself like a cardboard fort or something like that. Do you remember how cardboard boxes? And I forget what was happening, because you know how he always resorts to acting like a kid sometimes.
Yeah.
I forget what was happening. He gets in there and he's like, "Yeah, now you can't get me." You just see his eyeballs.
Yeah. That was he was on the airport.
That's
he took
what
all
it
the
was.
pillows, and the stewardess is like, "I'm glad you have a report. Now no one else has any pillows." And then he throws up a little sign that says "No girls."
Yeah, it's all like this big. You just see his eyes out there. But anyways, that's what I think of too. Is that like people build themselves into their little comfortable space, like their little comfortable shield.
Right.
And it's like regardless of any angle you try to come at with, it's bouncing off their shield.
Yeah, they're ignorant to whatever you have to say, and that's why my communications class, one of the things we learned is if you're ever going to resolve anything, no matter what it is, if you're ever going to resolve it, you need to go in there with no emotion.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to relationships and